is telling migrants our borders are not open and they should not make the dangerous journey. The 73rd Annual Primetime Emmy Awards will be honoring the best in television tonight. The ceremony is being held at LA Live in downtown Los Angeles beginning at 5 p.m. Pacific time and will be hosted by Cedric the Entertainer. Ted Lasso on Apple Plus snagged 20 nominations, the most ever for a first-year comedy series, surpassing Glee with 19. Netflix's The Crown and The Mandalorian on Disney Plus are tied with the most nominees at 24 apiece. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. Lower your energy bills and reduce your carbon footprint with the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program.
The Hal Sparks radio program.
There are millions of people in the United States who are avoiding getting vaccinated, not because they were anti-vax 6 years ago or 2 years ago or even genuinely that way now, but because it is literally just an act of stubborn fealty to Donald John Trump.
Hal Sparks, Saturdays from 11 to 1 on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-529-2856. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-529-2856. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-529-2856. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. For affordable term life, call 800-529-2856.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, then get ready to pay up. The IRS has giant private collection agencies actively tracking down folks who owe the IRS. So if you think dodging them was stressful in the past, it's going to get a whole lot tougher. Optima Tax Relief has this advice. Don't wait. Solve your tax problems now before it's too late. Optima Tax Relief works to stop the demand letters, stop the aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS collectors from targeting you. Ask Optima about the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands, and nobody knows this program better than they do. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and they get results, having resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get a fresh start. Call today for your free consultation.
Call 800-259-8642. 800-259-8642. 800-259-8642.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
I'm sorry. I'm a compulsive gambler. I know there's really nobody to blame for this but myself. Well, I don't know, maybe the Buffalo Bills, the Boston Red Sox, or Mr. T, or the Jets.
Wait a minute, Mr. T, are you telling me that you bet on the fight in Rocky III and that you bet against Rocky?
Hindsight is 20/20, my friend.
Let's go!
I got it! Dalton to the end zone. It's Robinson for the touchdown.
What a shot. Not a bad option.
Fields in the pocket. Helmets flying. Fields breaks a tackle. And this is what Fields can do. Scrambling for the first down to the 36. Burrow throws. Intercepted. It is picked off. And on the run is Roquan Smith. Down the sideline. Smith gets a block all the way. The pick six for Roquan Smith.
Justin makes a great play with his legs, and that's things that he can do. You know, he can extend plays, and I thought it was a great effort by him to get the first, and then for us to get the first down with David in 4 minutes with the offensive line when we needed to. Those were the bright spots, you know, so we got a lot of room to grow.
And we are live from the basement of WCPT 820 right here in Chicago. It is very bright for a basement, Paul, I must say myself here. And this is the Sports Cubicle. And everyone, it happened. It finally happened, and we didn't have to wait 16 games. The Bears won finally! This is our fastest hour of sports talk radio, so let's get down to our panel. First, we got on the left to me. This is radio. You don't know he's to the left. He's the marvelous one. He's Dan Marver. What's up, Marver?
I'm doing great. I probably should put the microphone in front of my face. I mean, so where am I, north or south? I don't even know that. I'm east of you, right?
You're in this direction. Okay. He's got the brown shirt on. It's radio. We can't hear.
There you go.
Now, the other side, wearing his goofy Raiders hat, we got the Paulacious one, Paul Chivari. What's up, Paul?
The 2-0 Raiders are what's up.
Yeah.
They play the Bears eventually, so, forget about it.
3-0.
And I'll have to tie somehow, just knowing our luck. And, of course, he's not in the studio with us. He's on his couch, but we love him anyway. It's Mike Mercado. What's up, Mercado?
What's up, boys? Justin Fields is here to stay, and we got things to talk about in Week 2 of the NFL. And shout out to Paul Chivari and his Oakland, or now Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, 2-0. They got Miami next week, too, so I like their chances.
I think it's because Brent Musburger is their play-by-play announcer, personally.
Yeah.
Being undefeated is good and all, Paul, but have you ever tried beating a good team?
Baltimore.
Pittsburgh.
You got me there. Yeah. You got me there.
But Cincinnati, is that a tough team?
This is not the Las Vegas Raiders Sports Cubicle. We are
proud
in Chicago.
Of the Bears today?
Forget about it. We're with the Bears. 2017. Let's talk about it.
Are we proud of the Bears today?
Yes. That's what I want to say here, because Marver, you say you're proud, but this is another thing of third-string quarterback Nick Foles last year said, it's better, winning ugly isn't great, but it's better than losing pretty. And this game, to me, was very much a winning ugly game.
Well, you're right, because, Nick Foles may be the backup quarterback next week, by the way. But they had Burrows had not thrown an interception for like 200 attempts. And then he had 3 in a row, including the pick 6. And so they had 20-3 with 6 minutes left. They still almost figured out a way to lose.
Yeah, where was this Bears defense last week? This Bears defense, Joe Burrow got sacked 4 times. He had, 3 fumbles?
Yeah.
Look at my notes over here. He had 3 interceptions. It's like, where was this defense against a great quarterback like Matthew Stafford?
It was the home crowd.
I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but Fields comes in a little bit later in the game after Dalton gets hurt, and then that's where all the scoring is done late in the game. 27 combined points in the fourth quarter. Are we foreseeing that maybe there's a problem with Fields just containing the football, or maybe the offense is on too quick? Mercado, you had a better chance to look at it. What do you feel about Justin Fields in terms of protecting the football?
It's going to be one of the interesting things to see them moving forward, because it's little things that a rookie quarterback goes through compared to Andy Dalton's a veteran. One of the things is holding onto the ball just a little bit too long, or being very nervous on the line and getting called for offsides twice in a game. I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback get called once, let alone a guy get called twice for it. But the things that Justin Fields did wrong, I feel, this is just my opinion, right? And I want to know if the Chicagoland area feels this way. Let us know on Twitter at Sports Cubicle TV, if you're watching us over on Facebook. To me, the mistakes Justin Fields made in this game, I can live with, because it's Justin Fields making mistakes that are going to be for the betterment of him and this franchise. If somebody like Andy Dalton or Nick Foles makes a mistake, throws an interception in the red zone, that's going to hurt the team now and has no benefit for them later on. It is just a lot of spinning in the same circle, right? Spinning in wheels. Opposed to now, they're going to have film. Justin Fields is going to sit there at this entire week, and it's going to start next week. And what's funny is Matt Nagy's not going to make this easy for us, but eventually we will find out Justin Fields is going to start next week.
I actually do want to...
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually have a clip from Matt Nagy, courtesy of NFL Sports, pretty much about him talking about what he feels they're going to do with Andy Dalton. So let's just take a listen here.
Yeah, so Andy's deal was he was running on the sideline. I didn't even see it, but I guess he was untouched when he went out of bounds. And so hurt himself a little bit there. And then he came out the next series, and I noticed on some of he took a sack, and I saw he was kind of limping a little bit. So, we got it looked at, and then he went in at halftime, and then coming back out, he would have been he was our backup. But he would have been able to go in an emergency. But as the quarters went on, it was getting a little bit sore. So we'll see. We'll know more here in the next 24, 48 hours as to where he's at and everything. But he's tough, man. He's for him to still go out there. And I thought the first drive, man, it was so great to be able to go out there and get that first drive right down the field and score a touchdown. And then we were kind of moving the ball, and then that happened. And so there's the example of making sure that you're always one play away, right, for everybody, every position.
773-763-9278. We'd love to hear your thoughts on who you think should be the Bears quarterback. And Marver, you're laughing over there.
I am.
What's so funny?
Well, I mean, I think that's interesting because I have a personal experience I can tell you about where a player tweaked their knee, then went back in the game, and ended up with an ACL. So, I mean, that didn't sound too brilliant to me, frankly. He would have been our backup because he, tweaked his knee. I mean, that's dumb. I'm sorry. I mean, I've never heard of such a thing, but be that as it may. I just wanted to tell you, the Fields, I mean, as a passer, he was 6 of 13 with 60 yards and an interception, so he has a lot of work to do in passing. Running, he's great, but passing, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's going to be the problem that we're going to see develop over time. I mean, that's going to be his thing, right? It's learning to be an NFL quarterback. All the attributes are there, but it's going to come together. And I think that's it. We're going to see it in action. We're going to see the maturation in where it means the most. And you're on the clock now. Now you can really see what this franchise is going to be. It's not going to be pretty all the time. You're not going to win. You're not going to play Cincinnati and dominate a quarterback like Joe Burrow. Shout out to the defense. I mean, we called them out, and Eddie Jackson was everywhere. Robert Quinn, even though he had a dumb penalty, was everywhere. Roquan Smith is a star in this league at linebacker. Khalil Mack showed up. I mean, Akeem Hicks is a problem. When this defense is good, they're able to make up for a rookie quarterback that's going to make mistakes. You see the difference when it's all supposed to work together. When you try to do things the smart way, protect your young quarterback, do what he does best, and your defense, which is supposed to be your strong suit, does their job. Yeah. This is what you're supposed to get. This is the outcome.
I was listening on the radio. They already the radio crew on the Bears Network were making comparisons with Russell Wilson already, so let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, that's a little fast, but I think Chicago should enjoy themselves. This is something that we've never seen. I mean, think about this, right? All the years we've seen Allen Robinson in Jacksonville and in Chicago now. Have we ever seen him miss a play like that? Right away, if he hits that touchdown, if he just holds on to a ball that he catches every other time in his career, we're talking a little bit differently about Justin Fields as a passer. Marvin, you bring him a good point as he's going to need work, and we saw it with him moving to his right, leaving with this one hand on the ball. Mm-hmm. But a play like that, it changes the mindset. It changes the way you look at film. I think as Bears fans and as NFL fans, we see so many nice young quarterbacks. It's great to see a large market like Chicago for the first time have legitimate excitement. It's going to be a lot of growing pains, but I think after week one, against a team we all thought was going to put the speed burners against the Bears in that secondary, was a very exciting, intriguing game from both sides of the field.
Week 3, who starts, though? Is it going to be Dalton? It doesn't sound like it's that serious of an injury if he was supposed to be the backup for a couple of plays. I mean, assuming he's healthy, do you think Matt Nagy goes with him?
It's tough, right, Marver? I think it's going to be one of these things where Matt Nagy, over the last few years, especially this season, is doing a lot of the old shtick of coaching the NFL where everything is private, everything is secret. And I think they do know whether Justin Fields is going to start next week. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to play it along the entire week. We're only going to hear from Matt Nagy 3 times. They're going to play it coy. Right now, on this Sunday, I think next week Justin Fields starts for the Chicago Bears.
That's what I predicted. I predicted he would play when the team returned to Ohio to play the Browns. I predicted that before the season.
That's where I'm going to go wrong here. I think it's going to be Andy Dalton. This is just Matt Nagy here. Again, he's like, if he's healthy, he's going to play. And I don't think Nagy is fully sold on Justin Fields yet. And I think part of it is we got to go back to the last guy and how he's like, we put Mitch in way too fast, And yeah, Glennon was not the answer, and Glennon was terrible. But as I was talking with Tommy over the family meeting earlier today, he's like, you need these to mentor these rookie guys here. It's like, if you want to just throw Fields out there, we're going to have Mitch Trubisky 2.0. Like, here you go, kid, have fun.
Apples and oranges, Mitch and Fields. I'm sorry.
Yeah. 100%, Marver, and I think this is also the big difference is I saw what Andy Dalton can do out there, and God bless him for Andy Dalton's a true gamer, and he has been his entire career from college to here, and that's not the problem. If it wasn't for Justin Fields being drafted, we wouldn't be having this conversation about Andy Dalton. But here's the thing. Anything I saw Andy Dalton do, besides the little mechanical things that a rookie quarterback will develop, Justin Fields can do. And you saw the energy on that team change. I think Andy Dalton's most value on this team is going to be now. Now he can show and help develop Justin Fields. Justin Fields can now make the mistakes he needs to mistakes. And if this defense can hold up their end or just be league average, the Bears will be just fine.
And the thing is, I don't think Nagy is sold on Justin Fields just yet, though. If you listen to him in these interviews here, he's like, it's like Justin's a good kid. Yeah, Justin does some things right, but the team as a whole has to work on this, 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 and this. And I don't know what it is about this Bears team, but for some reason, him and Pace, they want to put all their eggs in the red rifle basket, and it's not working.
Sure, and they've shown that, but I think Paulie, who's a Raiders fan, can kind of attest to this. When you have a coach, right, somebody who's been around the league, they're not going to give you anything. So I'm with you. What Matt Nagy's telling us is what the truth of, like, Andy Dalton might play, whatnot. But this is the same organization that told us there was a true quarterback competition, and we all know that was a lie. That was just one big farce. So Paulie, maybe you could come into this as a Raiders fan. You've seen the development of Derek Carr, but when you hear your coach talk about a quarterback like this, you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt and just kind of see what your eyes are telling you, right?
Well, the dynamic of John Gruden and Derek Carr is a lot different than the dynamic of Matt Nagy and Justin Fields. But you're right, though, about the Raiders won't give you much, because John Gruden literally ended his press conference today by saying, "I'm tired," and just left. But I mean, watching a quarterback develop, it does take time. Derek Carr did come in as a rookie. He didn't earn the job in training camp. He was, further picked down than Fields. Obviously, he was a second-round pick and not, 10th overall. But, over time, he did grow into the position. And by about year 3 is when he fully matured, and unfortunately ended with a broken foot. But he was, there was talk of him being an MVP candidate before Matt Ryan got that year. I mean, Fields is a different quarterback than Carr. There's really no comparison there. But at the same time, when you have a coach that has a good offensive system like Nagy's supposed to have, and you have a quarterback that you draft and you want to fit into that system, it's a lot different than what the Raiders have. But when you get that quarterback and coach thing clicking on an offensive-minded team, I mean, the sky's the limit, and especially in this league, when you can get into shootouts, that's essentially what the Bears are looking for, and those second chance opportunities out of Justin Fields. But that's enough from me. 773-763-9278, 773-763 WCPT. Jim from Chicago, you've got thoughts on Bears quarterbacks?
Hi, guys. I'm thinking of Bobby Douglas. I think he ran for the most yards in Bears history. He was about 6'5". He ran on every down.
Lefty, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he ran. He couldn't pass the ball, but he ran on every down. I think they won 7 games that year, and I'm willing to bet that the Bears probably won't. Will be around 7 wins.
Do you think Justin Fields is going to be able to develop a pass comparative, or do you think he's going to end up being one-dimensional? What are you feeling after training camps here in Ohio State?
Well, I think that they really got to get a better offensive line, obviously, and give him some time to pass. Because if he's got to run every down, that's a dangerous business.
I think
see a lot of
with the NFL nowadays, though, I mean, you can get by with a decent line as long as they can give you enough protection and you can, scramble out of the pocket and try and use some open field to create any sort of check down pass or something open downfield. So, I mean, it looks like he's got the arm strength out of what we saw in Ohio State. I'm not questioning that. I think he can throw downfield.
I think I'm not saying I can't predict the future. I've been a Bear fan since '63. I mean, I watched the Bears win the 2 championships in 50 years or 50-something years. But I think the kid will be good. But I don't want him running for his life. That's all. You guys have a great show. Thanks a million, guys.
Thank you, Jim. That's a solid point. I mean, a bad line can get a good quarterback injured, and that could be a worry too. That if he doesn't get out of the pocket quick enough, they're not going to buy him that much time to be able to create something.
And we've seen this from the Bears even back to like the Rex Grossman years. Like, I mean, you remember Jay Cutler got sacked 10 times by the Giants in one game. Like, why the Bears' offensive line has always been a problem just is baffling to me.
Well, it happens when you draft a right tackle and try to make him a left tackle who has back problems, and now you're hoping that the kid can develop next season. It's bad decisions like that. It's funny when we're talking about Justin Fields, and we heard from Jim, it's his running, right? And one thing that you take away, right, is the fumble. and him making sure he has good ball security as he develops. What I did like is that he knows how to protect himself from a hit and to get down it the right way. What's made Russell Wilson so dangerous over all these years and him scrambling is he knows how to take a hit and how to slide. We're seeing that with Kyle Murray. It's a baseball thing. Paul knows all about this. These dudes know how to get out, how to slide, and make sure they avoid contact. And when they do get hit, they're baiting it so they could get extra yards. I think we see a little bit of that flair with Justin Fields. I don't know about you guys. You know, you guys have seen a lot of football. Chicago's seen a lot of football. That was one of those little nuances I noticed from the kid, that Justin Fields has something special in that he knows how to run and use his body properly.
Well, when you think of, comparable quarterbacks to what Justin Fields should be in this league, some of those guys have baseball qualities to them. You talk about Russell Wilson. How about Kyler Murray? How about Jalen Hurts? Does Justin Fields have a baseball background?
Yeah. He
Okay.
was a prospect coming out of high school until he went full quarterback at Georgia. So this is a kid who was a quality baseball prospect heading into college. And I'm glad that you mentioned these guys actually having that. So seeing that, does that make you guys a little bit more nervous? Or do you now put the onus on Matt Nagy and this offense to use that skill, and also how smart this kid is to know how to use his body? And he's not going to be a Cam Newton or a Big Ben where they're just so burly that that's how they have to play. But maybe just use the kid's intelligence, that strong arm, and move the pocket and get creative.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, though. I think the onus is on Matt Nagy. I think you finally have the weapons. You can get by with what you've got right now. You need to see the results. And 20 points against Cincinnati isn't going to cut it.
Absolutely. And I want everybody who's listening right now in Chicago, please give us a call. The boys will give you the number in just a little bit. But if you're on social media, we are on WCPT's Facebook page. Leave a comment. We want to hear what you guys are saying. We're on Twitter at Sports Cubicle TV. We are having a wonderful time as the Chicago Bears beat the Cincinnati Bengals 20-17. Now, I want to know what you guys think moving forward for the Chicago Bears. Is this defense something that they can really hang their hat on? Because this was a tough matchup. And when you think about the problems going into this season, we were talking about the secondary. They really did show up. Is this a flash in the pan, or are we seeing what we thought? Eddie Jackson getting paid, Akeem Hicks looking for a contract, Roquan Smith maybe hitting that next level. Could this be something the Bears are actually going to have a top 10 defense the rest of the year to help out their new young quarterback?
I think you're being given way too much credit if you think they're a top 10 defense, Mercado. That's the way I see it, And my big gripe here is, we need to see more. That's not a gripe. We need to see more here. I mean, they're going against the Browns next week, and Baker Mayfield's coming back after that little minor injury scare he had today.
And that's a team that can put up points.
Exactly. We need to put up against these better teams here. Because, the Bengals, they're no one to sneeze at, but they're not Matthew Stafford and the Rams last week. They're not Baker Mayfield and the Browns. They're not the rest of the schedule. We got some easy matches. They're not the rest of the schedule, though.
Marver, let me ask you this. Do you feel if the Bears were down like they were against the Rams, but let's say the situation was the same as today, Justin Fields had much more playing time, would you feel more confident that he might be able to have some random rookie magic or something special to him to keep you in that game, hit that big play? Or do you think that's more sustainable with an Andy Dalton, like going into next week, hitting that big play?
I think the first game, it was like a given that Dalton was going to play most of the time. And I think the plan was to have Fields play more, apparently. So I don't think that there was any way that Dalton wasn't going to play the majority. I don't feel that Fields would have given them a better chance to win against the Rams necessarily. But I do feel that you got to even watch out for Cleveland, because, you're talking about Aaron Donald last week. Now we got Myles Garrett next week. So, the defense is going to be challenging in Cleveland, I think.
And I wonder, heading into that Cleveland game, how much that team is going to be recovering. Jarvis Landry's out. We'll see what happens with Baker. And if that's if anything comes with that, then you're able to just have that 7-man box and cover it and take care of Chubb. That's going to be a long day for Cleveland. I think the Bears have put themselves in an interesting spot, because now they're a wild card in all this. I don't know if they're a playoff team. I don't think they're a playoff team. But they're now interesting.
I think you're right. I was just looking. I look at stats. They only lost to Kansas City 33-29, the Browns, and then they beat the Texans today. So it could be challenging.
And that was without their quarterback in the second half.
Right.
And in the NFL, we're seeing right now how teams are being developed and how important it is to nurture and to cater to your young quarterback. I mean, look at Carolina. Everybody thought for sure Sam Darnold was going to be a bust, but he goes to a new scenario. They got a guy that knows how to call plays for him, and all of a sudden, they're beating up on the Saints. They look real. I don't know how legitimate that is, but they look good. They look fine. And I think that's something, as Bears fans, we're so used to seeing one way of offense, one mentality as a city. And there should be some excitement. We don't know where the drop-off is going to be. But right now, just looking into the future, there is something there. And I think if you look at the wide receiver core, Darnell Mooney might be a gem. Like, this is a dude that is developing right in front of our eyes. It's becoming a prolific guy down the field, and Allen Robinson's never going to have a game like this. But shout out, we haven't talked about it, guys. This is Chicago, right? This is a Bear city. We love running backs. Shout out to Sweetness. I mean, David Montgomery, where is this coming from? I mean, last year it was a killer season, but this is a man. This is a guy hitting that beast level stuff. And I think he's kind of going under the radars. What do you guys think in a city like this? Justin Fields must be that big of a deal where David Montgomery is having a wonderful season and not really getting that recognition.
The Bears have a semblance of a really good team. I mean, I think, we're not talking about world beaters here, but at the same time, in a really tough black and blue division, I think they can really tough something out. I mean, they're going to create some separation by getting the win. Minnesota loses today, and then you have the Monday Night Football matchup with Detroit and Green Bay. So it's almost guaranteed that you're going to have 1-1 for two teams and 0-2 for two teams. And week 2, the Bears are still in first place.
That's crazy. Did you guys think that would be a real thing heading into this season, that the NFC North will be, I guess before I say the NFC North struggling, what Green Bay team do you think we're going to see the rest of the season? Is it going to be the Green Bay team that we're customized to seeing, or do you think we've seen that drop off, that drop off of Aaron Rodgers and his Packers came before Tom Brady and his dynasties? Do you think we're at this point? Like, what are your thoughts on the NFC North right now as we're ending week 2?
I don't think you can compare Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to Tom Brady and the Patriots right there. Let's be real here. One of the best quarterbacks in the league and one Super Bowl to prove for it. We're not going on there, though. But I'm very iffy. I want to see here. Part of me thinks this might just be Aaron Rodgers, putting up like I can't say the word, but a little temper tantrum on the Packers. Like, this is what you guys get for treating me like this. Or maybe he wants to get traded. I don't know. Or maybe, he wants to just, go back to being what he was. It's very hard to tell here. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is done yet. And I say don't count out the Packers. Even with the Vikings, Kirk Cousins is looking a little bit better than he has. The only team that I think we can actually sleep on is the Detroit Lions. They have done nothing to impress me in the NFC. But out of that, these are the 3 teams we got to worry about.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I wouldn't have expected Green Bay to have such an awful showing against New Orleans, and I have a feeling that they'll have a much better showing against the Lions tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know. I think tomorrow night you're going to see the Packers just whoop up on the Lions at Lambeau Field. I mean, does that put them back on track? No, but I think it should give us a better idea. I mean, if they come out flat against the Lions, I think that's a giant red flag. Right. At the same time, I think with that extra week this season, we're going to really see December into January, what that's going to look like for fatigue with certain teams. And Green Bay seems like they would be the logical favorite to win this division just because of the strongest surviving and their experience and the fact that they have a Hall of Fame quarterback still at the helm. But at the same time, I just really think it evens itself out a little bit here, especially we talk about Fields and what the Bears look like, the way Green Bay came out week 1. Against the New Orleans team that didn't look so hot against Carolina today. So, I mean, it's going to be whichever team has the healthiest team down the stretch, whichever team, can be the most creative, I think, down the stretch. And I really do think it's fair game. I don't think the Packers are going to run away with it this year, but I think they're the favorite. They're the odds-on favorite to at least win 9 or 10 games in this division.
I agree, Paul. And the crazy thing is with the extra week, they put it in January. They could have started the season a week earlier instead of having the entire bye week for after the 3 preseason games. So they actually finish on January 9th, the regular season. Obviously the Super Bowl's pushed back a week further into February now instead of the first Sunday will be the second.
13th, so I think that's the latest we'll see the Super Bowl.
So and so it's just crazy. They'll be playing. You're going to have a game in Green Bay on January 2nd, for example. So maybe it'll be like the Ice Bowl during the regular season. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see if the NFL corrects this going forward, but the expanded schedule just doesn't sit well with me, especially with, I mean, Mercado, you and I have talked about it many times before about just adding the extra game negates their entire message, the league saying that they take safety first and that they're looking out for the players' interests and trying to reduce, helmet-to-helmet concussions and things of that nature.
And it's not just this weird idea of like we're gonna talk from this side, but don't pay attention to what we're doing on this side. And while this is all going on, they're adding another game. That means they're adding another day where 80,000 people are going to be in a stadium during a pandemic. And it's funny where we're at right now with COVID and sports because it was a storyline for the NFL heading into this season. But as you've noticed, we're week 2 into the NFL. And this mandate of the vaccine and teams saying, like, you need to do this, you're not going to cost us a game. The NFL is no longer going to grant us this period or bend over backwards for us. This is something I don't think fans have thought of. We've been so excited here in Chicago about Justin Fields, and every fan base has something to be excited about if you look around. But that's been a storyline that I don't think we've really paid attention to, is how the extra game and playing in a pandemic where the stadiums are full now, how that's all kind of going together on top of the mandate that games are going to be affected. And it's going to be a big deal when somebody misses a game because of COVID, because it's not going to be as regular, I think, as it was last season. And you talk about, on top of regular injuries, who knows what happens with the Packers if Aaron Rodgers pulls a hamstring? It's like, no, I need to be fresh for Denver next year. So I don't know about you guys, but it's been something I've been thinking about as we get into flu season, as we get into winter. We're talking about games in Lambeau Field in January that we're going to have to keep an eye not just on injuries, not just on the extra game, but what's going on with COVID on top of everything else.
We're also assuming Aaron Rodgers is going to be healthy by Christmas time because that's been a problem in his career too.
Right. You're absolutely right. If you look, it's let alone the pros with their 80,000 seat stadiums. How about Michigan, Ohio State, and the others that have 90, 100,000 seat stadiums, no masks, everybody side by side? It's who knows what's going to happen.
And that's the interesting thing of all of this. It's like, as sports fans, because I hear a lot of people, and I can hear right now as we're having this conversation here on the Sports Cubicle. We appreciate you all joining us. Devin Tingle, Paul Chivari, Michael Mercado, the marvelous one, Dan Marver, here on WCPT. Make sure you guys stay up to date with the news starting on Monday. You start your week off right. Santita Jackson in the morning, Stephanie Miller, Tom Hartman in the afternoon. Of course, Joan Esposito and Patty Vasquez in the evening in the greatest city in the world, Chicago, IL. But this is part of sports. The way COVID is going to impact everybody. I mean, what happens if you have yourself a hot prospect in Michigan who gets sick because of a game at Soldier Field, or this coming up weekend, Notre Dame versus Wisconsin? That's Indiana and Wisconsin on top of Chicago residents. Look, I understand we're in another world now. 2021's view of COVID in September heading into October, it's a lot different than September, October of 2020. But I do think we have to be honest with ourselves as sports fans that it will impact our favorite things. Football, indoor and outdoor, whether it's hockey games come later on this season. I think it's, Marver, I'm glad you brought that up because we've had how many weeks of college and we've never talked about anything in Tuscaloosa,
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, the Alabama, Florida, for example, that was a big game yesterday. At the United Center, you're going to need to show proof of vaccination already. That's been announced, and I assume that's going to be pretty common throughout the indoor arenas during the winter season.
I just wonder how they can enforce that.
Yeah, I know.
Because they say you could show a picture on your phone, and it's like, how many counterfeit
right.
I don't know. I just hope people are being safe.
I can tell you for a fact, again, personal experience. I think the knee thing was my daughter. My wife on Friday had to show proof of vaccination to the high school she subs at. So, I mean, the rule for having 100 employees needing to show proof hasn't even been out there yet, and they're already. I expect the bank to do the same thing that I'm at. So, I mean, that's another thing, and so it would seem to me as though. I don't want to recommend this. It would be pretty easy to counterfeit those little teeny cards with like somebody scribbling.
That is against the law, and someone did get caught because they misspelled Moderna with like an A. So
the FBI is really cracking down on those counterfeit cards too. And before we go to break here, I want to mention I'm at Riot Fest this weekend, and pretty much you need your vaccination card, a negative test, and your picture ID. And they examine the hell out of those things, making sure you didn't mess with any of that. So, and again, we encourage you, WCPT, please get vaccinated if you're not, and please wear your mask. We're getting through this together.
Justin Fields is our quarterback. You want to be here when he develops into a Super Bowl quarterback. and everything happens well for the White Sox in October, and when the Cubs win the World Series next year, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be there for the non-existent White Sox parade.
Easy.
773-763-9278. We got to go to break. We'll be right back, guys. Stay tuned.
Tom Hartman.
Donald Trump made being a psychopath fashionable. He made it acceptable. And his neurological tribe of psychopaths are like out. They are here. And as a consequence of this, people who have Biden-Harris stickers on their cars or a pride flag in their window are facing vandalism, arson, and worse.
The Tom Hartman Radio Program. Weekdays 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on WCPT 820.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish
is pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive, bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said now he speaks Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
If you have been financially affected by the COVID pandemic, then this message is for you. Are you among the many folks who have lost their jobs, or if you've been furloughed, or working from home at a reduced pay? If you have credit card debt and cannot make your monthly payments, we at Debt Fix Pros can help. Call us to see how we can reduce your interest rates and lower your monthly payments. If you are struggling with credit card debt, we can help. Call 800-707-1097. That's 800-707-1097.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code AUTO for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code AUTO for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code AUTO.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
And we are back over here at the Sports Cubicle in WCPT. 773-763-9278. Please give us a call if you want to weigh in on the conversation. Now, Marver, Mercado, I need you two to shut up for just 2 minutes. Hey, Paul.
Hey, it was a perfect day, though. The Cubs, Sox, and Bears all won.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the Raiders, and more importantly, the Raiders.
I want to talk about, Paul, shut up about your Raiders. Let's talk about the other team that wears black and white. What's that magic number, Paul?
It's 4. Luke Appling, it's 4.
Woo!
Attaboy.
It's exciting. I mean, I think by the middle of the week, they should be able to do it. The way Cleveland's been playing, though, it's going to be tough. And the way the Tigers have been playing, too. But, I mean, you got to think that there's at least, 3 Indians losses or White Sox wins or 4 somewhere in there.
Not worried. They're 11 games ahead. Both teams were 5-5 in the last 10 games between the Indians and the Sox. So forget about it. You're playing Houston.
But at the same time, they could get swept all the way through. Yeah. They could go 0-8 this week. Yeah. Give the Indians 5 games right there. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not too concerned about any of these other teams, though. I mean, they're putting up a good race, but I think they're going to be like the 2006 White Sox. They're not going to have enough wins. Mm-hmm. And I told you, Paul, off the air before, as I was watching this mini documentary on YouTube about the 05 White Sox and how they kind of struggled in August and September, but that last week they just freaking plowed through and were on fire and went to win it all. So I could see this team doing the exact same thing here. I mean, Craig Kimbrell has been so wishy-washy, but especially last night, he looked a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, they're starting to fall into their roles a little bit. I don't think we've truly seen this team, what they're going to look like in the playoffs, what that lineup is, where they're pitching. I think we've seen it all year with the pitching, of course. Kopech sometimes relieves Rodon, and sometimes you get that Kopech in the 6th, Tepera in the 7th, Kimbrell 8th. Hendricks ninth. I think you've seen those roles kind of solidified. But offensively, Tony La Russa is still playing with some of the lineups. We're seeing Hernandez is not hitting his way into the everyday lineup. We've seen Tim Anderson get significant rest periods. They're sitting pretty right now, and I'm not worried about the Indians. They're under 500.
Yeah, they are.
It's not even close. The magic number's 4. It should be the way the Indians are playing. They eventually have to lose games, I would think, at some point. And the White Sox can take care of business by winning just 2 games later in the week. If they get swept by the Tigers, they just got to beat the Indians twice out of 5 games over 4 days. And with a doubleheader, usually you can split 1 right there.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm not incredibly worried. The real race is for home field advantage in the first round against the Houston Astros.
Right. The other way. How about the wild card for the American League in general? That's crazy.
Stay out of that. Stay out of that one, Marvin. We don't want none of that mess. That murderer's row right now.
Yeah.
Paulie, I'm glad you brought up the thing with Houston, and it's something that I've said on Baseball Weekend Journal, Sports from the Couch. Shout out to Jerry Riles on the Rewind Sports 60. It's something we've all talked about, at least whenever I've mentioned the White Sox. To me, it all comes down to, who your matchup is, right? It's Houston, and you're seeing, Tony La Russa put this lineup together. The pitching staff has always been there. The bullpen is really strong. But at the end of the day, this is a team that's going to go to its very first real playoff after an entire season, after having overcome so many things. And shout out to this team for being so mentally strong and so physically talented to handle so much of this adversity. But this is going to be the first time they're in a real playoff series after a real season, not in this pandemic bubble that they were in. That's its own thing, and that was an accomplishment. But we're about to see them in a real race, a real fight, and I'm so interested to see how you feel about that this is a uncharted waters. While they've dipped their toes in the pool before, they're in the ocean now when they play the Houston Astros in the playoffs.
Yeah, and the Astros have plenty of experience, but at the same time, it's not the same Astros team that went to the World Series in 2019. There have been significant changes. I think the playoffs have always proven that the better teams will win regardless of experience. The thing that I can't get past this, Mercado, you've been saying this for a while, long before we knew that this would be the matchup, that the White Sox need to avoid the Astros. They can handle just about any team, but they need to avoid the Astros in the first round because in the best of 5, they might not be able to escape it. This is the one thing I can't get past, though. Managers. When would Dusty Baker ever outmanage Tony La Russa? In what universe does that happen?
It's tough. You're right, and I guess this is poetic justice at the end of it all, right? That it's TLR and Dusty back at it, and all the craziness, all the controversy, and they're gonna have probably the hottest series other than the wild card round. Yeah, you're right. It's a fascinating timeline to go down to see if Dusty is able to get one over Tony, or if we just the same old life is a flat circle, right? Time's a flat circle.
Yeah.
TLR just keeps doing it to him.
It just seems the likely scenario is that Tony La Russa gets this team to the championship series. I don't know about the World Series, but at the same time, when I look around the American League, and especially, the Rays are struggling, but they're kind of like the White Sox, where they're kind of coasting, trying out different lineups. It's not the same batting order as the White Sox. When you look at Houston, they match up really well with the White Sox. You see the American League wildcard race is a free-for-all right now. But when you talk about all those teams in the American League, I still really like the White Sox. And I don't know if it's because I'm biased as a fan or just the makeup of this team really looks like a championship, at least pennant winning for the league winning team. Against the National League, that's a different story. I don't know how the White Sox match up against the Giants or the Dodgers. I don't know if the Braves will turn it around. The Brewers, too, that have enough pitching where I've said it before on this show that, the Brewers could really go far in the playoffs if they can ride that pitching. So I don't know. I'm not worried about the White Sox. I think they can go in without home field advantage and still perform well. But like I've said, we haven't really seen the true White Sox, I think, yet this season. And that might be hard to turn it on when it counts.
I agree with that. I said all along, pitching is so important in the playoffs, particularly where they're going to have 2 days and a day off, 2 days or whatever. It's all spread out. They could get by with 3 pitchers, Cecil, Giolito, whatever. Forget about Keuchel. I don't think he'll be involved. But
even as of late, he's pitched better than he has before. But that's not saying much. Anything is about better than what we saw.
But I think that pitching plus the potential of that the roles of the pitchers pitchers in middle, late relief and closer, those are pretty set. So they could probably get by just with their hitting and with the starting pitching and their bullpen. They look solid. So, I mean, I think they have a good chance. I mean,
I haven't gone far in the rotation to see. I mean, I think you're already kind of seeing it being put together right now. Lintz pitching last night, Giolito going today. I think that's your game 1 and 2 right there. Then 3 goes to what? Rodon or Cease? I mean...
Rodon is going to pitch against the Tigers, I understand. So,
on Monday,
right.
So there you go. Rodon's probably your 3, which puts Cease as the 4. Hopefully, you don't need him in a series. You don't, maybe you go with Lynn in a game 4 if you can win that game at home on short rest versus having your essentially your young player. He's not a rookie anymore. Right. But at the same time, then that would line up Lynn on the road game 5 if it, so I mean, I don't know. It's this is why you have Tony La Russa in the dugout, though, to make these tough decisions, because I think even if it doesn't work out, this is a guy that comes from a very schooled philosophy.
And I like how he does handle his pitchers. You're right, 100%. I've been one of the harshest critics of Tony, but he's got the locker room. He's got the accolades. He's got the years. He's proven a lot of people wrong, and he can cap it all off by making a run at this thing. And it is a tough matchup, but guess what? When you win a championship, it usually is. And I think having this problem at your pitching staff, this pitching rotation, is a nice one to have, because they are stacked in the back end of that bullpen and that starting rotation. But Paulie, as we're getting on this back end of the show, when do you think the White Sox clinch this thing and we get to see the bubbly out as they celebrate a division championship?
Who do the Indians have this week? Kansas City.
Sox.
And then of course the Sox. So Kansas City for 2 tomorrow. I think there'd be a split there. Sox, I think, only take 1 out of 3 at Detroit, because the Tigers, I want to say, put a hurting on the Rays over the weekend. The Rays are kind of in a similar situation to the Sox. They're really resting guys. More interesting of a pitching situation than the Sox got. I think their Sox have a little bit more of a comfortable starting thing going on. I'm going to put it on probably Thursday, game 1 Thursday in the doubleheader against Cleveland, and I think it'll be semi-uneventful because it'll be while half of the fan base is working. It'll be like somewhere around 2:30 in the afternoon or something like that on Thursday is my prediction.
Well, the games are 12-10 and 5-10. I think Cease is pitching in one of them. But the thing is that, that's like I say, if the Indians were somehow able to win all or most of those games, it might make them. It's 11 games. Let's be serious.
Yeah. I'm not worried. The Sox are going to clinch it at some point, and I think by the time we talk next week,
might even be clinched before the Indians.
That's true, and that's very true. If the Indians would have lost today, it could have been clinched as early as tomorrow.
They did in New York. They won 11-3 yesterday and 11-1 today.
Now we're rooting for the Royals, though.
Royals. Tomorrow.
When have we done that in the AL Central ever?
Yeah,
or as White Sox fans ever?
I'm sure there's been times.
But I'm with Paul here. I definitely think we're going to have a clinch this week.
Yeah. It's a 4-game series the Royals have. They have a doubleheader tomorrow, and then Tuesday and Wednesday single game. So that's 4 games right there. And so if they split those, we could be clinching.
I don't know if you guys have had a chance to follow some of the bigger stories around Major League Baseball with the National League wild card race. Is a little bit more of a
Cardinals.
free-for-all.
I thought, who would believe the Cardinals would be ahead for the second spot, and they are.
And the way the Padres have completely fallen apart, and it almost culminates in last night we see Manny Machado yelling at Fernando Tatis. I think people are reading a little bit too much into it, but I think at the same time, if you want to point to kind of a physical representation of that downfall for the Padres, and if they missed the playoffs in a year that they had very high expectations, you point to that moment right there. I mean, that's such an image that you put in people's heads, where you hope that a team with that much talent can turn it around, but at the same time, gosh, what a free-for-all. And the fact that the Cardinals were able to ride it out, and it's not over yet. Philadelphia's making a statement right now. I know we're leaving out somebody.
Cincinnati's just 2 games behind. I got it right here.
And it might be the Dodgers winning the division. They're a game behind San Francisco.
And when you look at remaining schedules, Cincinnati has a really easy one, so they could surprise. In the American League, it's really tough for certain teams.
St. Louis has an easy one. They play the Cubs, 7 times yet?
And then the Brewers for the other 7. So it's and the Brewers have already clinched their playoff spot. So at some point, they're going to clinch the division. I think the magic number is 3 for the Brewers right now. I would think that the Brewers are going to sit at some point, so it almost looks really good for the Cardinals. But at the same time, I forgot who they have, but the Reds have a really easy schedule as well. So it really could, without them playing each other down the stretch as division opponents, it could come down to the Reds and the Cardinals fighting for that last spot. But keep an eye on the Phillies.
Yeah, you're right.
They're only a game right now behind the Braves, maybe even less, because I don't know what the results of the games are today.
I mean, the Reds have 2 games with the White Sox yet, but they play the Pirates and the Nationals and the Pirates the rest of the time. So other than those 2 games with the White Sox, they have the Nationals and the Pirates.
By the time the Reds will see the White Sox, the Sox will be division champions.
Right. So, I mean, in essence, they're playing teams that are out of it or who will not be, pressing for postseason in the case of the White Sox because they'll have clinched it.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be fun watching this down the line here. I think the American League West has some good matchups too. With Houston hasn't clinched it yet, and I think Seattle exclusively plays the A's and the Astros down the stretch. They see each other enough times over these next 2 weeks that'll be sorted out fairly soon here. Exciting races. I mean, that's all we've got in Major League Baseball right now. But
at the beginning, the wild card, the traditionalists didn't like the idea at all, but it sure makes interest in the last 2 weeks, as you can see from what we just said.
I really don't want to see Major League Baseball expand beyond the playoffs that we've got. Especially, I think the National League wild card is a big indicator as to why we should not have more.
I mean, last year made sense in a way, but with 16 teams and 2 game series this year, I was like, it was too much.
and what's weird is I wanted to argue against that, but I think that really sorted itself out. I think the right teams were able to win those series.
Yeah.
I mean, it was weird. The pandemic season was very weird, but it was neat that we got to see the teams with the best records in each league end up winning the World Series.
And the Dodgers and the Rays played as many games in the postseason as during the regular season almost.
Yeah, that's a grind. I don't know if you guys want to get to some scores here around the NFL and kind of circle back to some of the remaining games we've got on the season here. Let's get right down to it. In the earlier games, Thursday, the Washington football team defeated the New York Giants, a rival there, 30-29. New England 25 over the Jets 6. Broncos 2-0 on the season after a 23-13 win over Jacksonville. The Buffalo Bills shut out the Miami Dolphins in Miami 35-0. 49ers 17, the Eagles 11. Los Angeles Rams victorious over the Colts 27-24. Vegas Raiders 26-17 on top of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bears, as we've mentioned earlier in the broadcast several times, victorious, their first win on the season, 20-17 over the Bengals. Browns 31-21 over the Texans. Carolina Panthers 26-7 over New Orleans. In the later games, the Arizona Cardinals scraped by the Minnesota Vikings to go to 2-0. It was 34-33 the final in that one. Tom Brady's Tampa Bay Buccaneers also 2-0, 48-25 over the Falcons. We have a final in the Titans and the Seahawks in overtime. Wow. Titans go 1-1 on the year. 33-30 victory over the Seahawks, who also fall to 1-1. And the Dallas Cowboys pulling off the upset in Los Angeles, 20-17 at SoFi Stadium against the Los Angeles Chargers. In the night game, we have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Baltimore Ravens, kicking off in just about a half hour. And tomorrow night, an NFC North matchup as the Lions head up to Lambeau Field and take on the Packers.
From the frozen tundra.
Yeah, of September.
Paul, you are so good at that, by the way. I'm going to praise you for once.
Thank you.
Attaboy.
Thank you.
You know who he's like? He's kind of like Derrick Henry, who had 3 freaking touchdowns against the Seahawks.
Ooh-wee.
What a man.
Ooh-wee. I know I have him on one of my fantasy teams. That's good news for me.
Shout out to him, definitely. And obviously, Kupp had a wonderful game for the Rams. Tua was taken out in a cart against Buffalo. Zach Wilson struggled against the one and only Bill Belichick defense. I believe 4 interceptions. A crazy week in the NFL, and if you've noticed, not a lot of energy in Jacksonville right now with Trevor Lawrence. A lot of the other rookie quarterbacks are getting some love, and Justin Fields one of the only ones to get a win this week. A lot of interesting ball. Tyrod Taylor was having a great game for the Texans until he got hurt. What sticks out to you guys as we kind of wrap up this episode of Sports Cubicle and Week 2 in the NFL?
You know, I hate to be biased, but Raiders 2-0. That honestly surprised me.
Right, and the Broncos are the only other team in the AFC that are undefeated.
Mm-hmm. I mean, by the end of the night, we could also have 3 teams, 2-0 in the AFC West. But I mean, yeah, that's the biggest thing that jumps out to me. I think at the same time, I don't know, Miami getting shut out. I thought they were a better team than at least that. But I know that Buffalo defense is pretty hard. But, getting shut out at home, never really a good sign for a team. So I think those are the two biggest things that jump out to me.
Cardinals beating the Vikings, there's a good chance that Zimmer is on the hot seat. I mean, that Kyler Murray definitely put them in a bad position. Tom Brady put up 4 touchdowns early against the Falcons. Matt Ryan is going to need to find a new home because they are in complete rebuild mode in Atlanta. And I guess kind of only, obviously, overreaction just 2 weeks in. Is there a team like, let's say, Oakland? Excuse me, it's going to be that bad habit of the Vegas Raiders. Is that a team that we can really say, like, yeah, you know what? It's a tough division, but they're going to be a serious out the entire. Is there any team you guys see besides Vegas who we know we've kind of shown some love to on this episode that intrigue you guys?
I mean, Carolina does for me. I would say. I don't know, but what about you guys?
The team that's been really standing out for me, especially now with bringing him up, is the Washington football team with Taylor Heineke. This kid played great in the playoffs. Bringing in Ryan Fitzpatrick, I was a little iffy about, and I think, it's a shame when anyone gets hurt in the league, but definitely this is what they needed. He's got the starting job now, and I think this kid's going to do great, especially with all the weapons this team now has.
I mean, and the 49ers, I mean, they're kind of a mystery. So far, they've beaten the Lions and the Eagles, so it's hard to say. They play the Packers on Sunday night next week, so we'll really see how good they are.
But they're 2 years removed from a Super Bowl, so they should have that experience. Hey, we're winding down here, but we wanted to get to one more caller. Dave from Hoffman Estates. We were talking about NFL and COVID earlier. You had some thoughts?
Yeah, I was on, I told the screener, I was on my way home and listening to y'all on the radio. And by the way, congrats on your new show.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I got to thinking about when Notre Dame had that first game down at Florida State, a little over 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any kind of reports of anybody, getting sick yet from that? Because, it should be right around the incubation period now,
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about players-wise, anything happening like that, and I don't know about fans going down there. Of course, we know, the amount of COVID cases that Florida has every day. I think they're still one of the top states in the nation for most COVID cases. But no, that's a good question, Dave, and I think it's something that we got to keep an eye on all season. I mean, I know from watching baseball myself, there's always people kind of going on the COVID protocol, and I know in the NFL, we're going to see that as well. So
and even with a lot of them are vaccinated, and that's the scary part. They're getting COVID, but probably they don't get as sick, I guess, is what the bottom line is.
Yeah. Hey, we got to wrap it up here, Dave. Thanks for.
All right. I just kind of thought about that because of Florida being like a wildfire with it. So anyway, hey, listen, y'all be well.
Hey, thank you so much, Dave. Thanks for calling in. That's going to do it for the Sports Cubicle here. I want to thank everyone for listening. For Marver, for Mike Mercado, for Devin, and myself. Thanks for listening, guys. Stay tuned for Cliff Kelly. And, of course, your week starts with Santita Jackson in the morning, 6 o'clock. WCPT, where facts matter.
The David Pac-Man Show.
Congressman Jim Jordan and Congressman Jim Banks are effectively insurrectionists. They were participants in the ginning up of doubt about the election results in the months leading up to January 6th, which had people so fired up and almost like in a feverish state of arousal where they just went to the Capitol and attempted the insurrection on January 6th.
The David Pac-Man Show, weekday evenings at 8 on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Windows down, crisp air, and a pleasant breeze. It's time to get into the driver's seat of the new 2021 Porsche Macan from the Porsche Exchange and fly.